Welcome to KiniNews. I'm your host Prasad. A group of teens decided to ride their modified bicycles known as Basika Lajak on a highway at 3 a.m. in 2017. 8 of them died that night after being struck by a car being driven by Sam Ke Ting. She was acquitted twice, but today the High Court overruled the acquittal. So far, MCA and DAP have offered her legal aid after a stay of execution was rejected.
The Johor Bahru High Court has overturned the acquittal of 27-year-old Sam Ke Ting. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison by the High Court for a charge of reckless driving, which caused the death of 8 cycling teenagers in 2017. Sam was also fined 6,000 ringgit, and failure to pay the fine will result in an additional 6-month imprisonment. Judge Abu Bakar Qatar said the defense failed to raise reasonable doubt against the prosecution's case. Utusan Malaysia reported the judge rejected the defense's application for a stay of execution and ordered them to secure leave to appeal from the Court of Appeal first. Sam was also disqualified from driving for 3 years, effective immediately after she completes her prison sentence. On February 18, 2017, 8 cycling youths died when the car Sam was driving rammed into them in the 3 a.m. incident. Many others were left injured. In 2019, Magistrate Siti Hajar Ali acquitted Sam without calling her to the stand. Siti Hajar said investigations found that Sam was not under the influence of alcohol, was not using her phone, and wore a seatbelt while driving, proving that the accused was driving responsibly and carefully. Siti Hajar acquitted Sam again in 2021 when the High Court ordered the plaintiff to enter her defense.
Before joining politics, Ahmad Zahid Hamidi was a corporate figure with a salary of 120,000 ringgit a month, and according to him, most of it was used for charity work.
Umno President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said he founded Yayasan Akalbudi in 1997 for the sake of charity and religion. In his witness statement today, he said he was using about 3/4 of his then monthly corporate salary of 120,000 ringgit for such purposes anyway. Zahid is facing 47 charges involving criminal breach of trust, corruption, and money laundering in relation to Yayasan Akalbudi funds. He said from his 120,000 ringgit a month in the past, he only used about 30 to 40,000 ringgit for his own use and his family. He said the rest was used for charity, wakaf, infaq, and other charity work for religious and welfare purposes. He added that the foundation did not only focus on his parliamentary constituency of Bagan Datuk, but was meant to help those in need in general. As such, Zahid said he had never instructed anyone to use funds from Yayasan Akalbudi for personal reasons. He also affirmed that the expenses and liabilities of Yayasan Akalbudi were borne by him personally. He added that during the initial stage of its formation, a large part of the foundation's funding came from his personal savings from his time in the corporate world.
Easy come, easy go. But I'm sure $10 million is not easy to let go by any means. But Astro's former CEO will be returning $10 million, which was given to her by a former Goldman Sachs big shot.
Former Astro Chief Operating Officer Rohana Rozan has reportedly agreed to return $10 million in assets that she gained from Tim Leisner. This was reported by Utusan Malaysia, quoting a source close to the MACC. The MACC is now actively acquiring the funds after Rohana had agreed to hand over assets from Leisner gained using the 1MDB funds. Leisner was the star prosecution witness in the 1MDB trial of Malaysian former banker Roger Ng. Roger has been convicted of corruption charges related to his role in helping loot hundreds of millions of dollars from 1MDB. Leisner claimed to have provided Rohana with $10 million, which she had used to acquire a property in London valued at $7 million. Leisner also claimed that he had a decade-long relationship with Rohana and that she had threatened to expose his role in the 1MDB scandal if he failed to fulfill her demands. This allegation had prompted an MACC probe on Rohana, who had vowed to extend her full cooperation.
The government of Malaysia has agreed to reach a settlement with Apandi Ali.
Muhammad Apandi Ali and the government have reached a settlement on his legal challenge over his termination as Attorney General. His counsel, Baljit Singh Sidhu, confirmed that Kuala Lumpur High Court Judge Akhtar Tahir recorded the settlement during case management of the matter this morning. Speaking to the media, the lawyer said the government agreed to settle the action without admission of liability. He also said the terms of the settlement are to remain confidential. There was a previous failed attempt to settle the suit last year. In 2020, Apandi filed a suit against former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and the government. The suit was over Apandi's alleged unlawful termination as AG during the previous Pakatan Harapan administration in 2018. Through the lawsuit, Apandi sought, among others, declarations that first listed defendant Mahathir had committed misfeasance or misconduct in public office. However, through a statement of defense filed in November 2020, Mahathir and the government insisted that the termination of the contract was valid and in accordance with the provisions of the federal constitution. Under Malaysia's constitutional monarchy system, the Agong, as a general rule, acts on the advice of the Prime Minister, such as on the appointment of an AG.
As Speaker's party election approaches, more leaders are coming out to state their intentions.
Former Minister Mazli Malik will contest for the Simpan Rangam Division Chief post in the PKR election. He said this to Bernama in a WhatsApp message last night. In November last year, Mazli rejoined PKR, a party that he first signed up for in 2017 through the Ampang Division. He then joined the Bersatu Supreme Council and was appointed Education Minister under the Pakatan Harapan federal government. However, he was expelled by Bersatu in May 2020 and became an independent MP. Meanwhile, incumbent PKR Youth Chief Akmal Nasir confirmed he is not defending his post. He has indicated he might be seeking a post in the Central Leadership Council.
A writer has vowed to stay away from the topic of Islam after his last social media post ended up with him spending time in a police lockup.
Writer Uthaya Sankar SB said will not write anything about Islam in the future. This comes after he spent a night in lockup over a Facebook post that allegedly insulted Prophet Muhammad. He said though he has read about Islam, he has learned his lesson and will keep away from Islam and not write anything about Islam in the future. He was speaking to Malaysia Kini after he was released from police custody yesterday. Uthaya spent the night in the Dangwangi District Police Headquarters lockup after he was arrested over a social media post on April 7th. The post that touched on the issue of polygamy and the Prophet Muhammad was alleged to be insulting to Islam. Police failed to secure a 4-day remand order against Uthaya when a magistrate turned down their request. Meanwhile, asked to comment on his first-time experience spending the night in a lockup, Uthaya said he did not face any problems. According to him, the police officers were very professional.
DAP wants Kit Siang to stay on as a mentor. However, the veteran politician appears very serious about his retirement from politics.
Veteran politician Lim Kit Siang has declined his appointment as DAP's mentor. Speaking at a dinner event hosted by DAP leaders last night, Lim said he has conveyed his decision to Party Secretary General Anthony Loke. Lim said Loke can expect his full support for the party's 6th Secretary General. Lim withdrew from the DAP Central Executive Committee election at the 11th hour last month. Following that, he announced that he wanted to retire from the party leadership. The 81-year-old will also not participate in future parliamentary or state assembly polls. This is a clear sign that he will retire after 6 decades in politics. Lim led DAP as Secretary General, the party's most powerful position, from 1969 until 1999. Even after, Lim remained the party's most recognizable face.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.